Hey everyone, we hope your journey into nutritional healing is going great so far. Now it's time for us to really get our hands dirty as the topic shifts to literally the dirt on agriculture. When addressing the topic of nutrition and the healing of diseases with food, we truly wish we could simply say, eat fruits and vegetables and all of your problems will be solved. This idea does have a lot of truth to it, especially if we lived in a world of perfect gardens. However, we need to apply a little bit more awareness to what is going on behind the scenes in the modern world of agriculture if we are going to see the bigger picture and make more informed choices when it comes to our health and wellness. Because of the way we have constructed our lives as a species, when investigating industrial plant-based agriculture, we have found that our system is in the same kind of trouble as it is with the other industries that we've looked at previously. One of the key takeaways from those discussions is how the mass industrial production of meat and dairy causes disease and damage to our bodies due to the way these systems are built, managed, and commercialized. The lack of concern for the health and well-being of the animals translates to the consumption of the unhealthy end results. And this is not to mention the fact that we consume way too much of the wrong kinds of these products as well. We must become aware that this same phenomenon is happening with our plant food too. The issues surrounding plant-based agriculture are slightly different, but don't let that fool you. They are just as dangerous as any of the other heavily commercialized industrial practices are on our health. Although there seems to be fewer diseases related to the consumption of mass-produced plants, they are still responsible for major health issues due to modern chemical agriculture, genetic modification, and low nutrient quality. When we found out that the most traditionally nourishing plant foods on the planet now have the lowest levels of nutrients within them that they ever have, we just had to find out why. One of the things we discovered was that it all comes down to the dirt. You see, we are made up of the same basic elements that the earth is made of and share the same elements that make up all of life. Most commonly, these are hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. These are among the most essential nutrients within dirt too. The living creatures on the earth have used the same molecules over and over, recycled through countless organisms, dirt, and even water. Dirt is very much alive. In fact, 80% of the world's biomass is found within dirt, including all 6 kingdoms of life: plants, animals, archaeobacteria, eubacteria, fungi, and protists. With the amount of species that live inside of a teaspoon of dirt, you will be amazed to find out that it is literally just as alive as we are. In fact, a single handful of terrestrial dirt contains more organic, organized information than the surface of all of the other known planets in our solar system. There are tens of billions of microorganisms in a single handful of dirt, some living in harmony with each other and others in competition with each other. This is all happening in perfect balance with countless different means by which everything is able to live together. What we often call dirt, that stuff you're trying to get off your car or driveway, is not actually representative of what is really going on just underneath our feet. The soils and sediments that are necessary to keep our biosphere alive and healthy entirely exist as a living layer of the earth, kind of like our skin is to our body. This layer is referred to as the humus layer and is the most biodiverse substance known to science. When you hear the word dirt in relationship to the growing of food, the establishing of forests, and the health of entire ecologies, it's humus that is being referred to. So what does all of this information about dirt have to do with nutrition and our physical health? That's an excellent question. You see, healthy soil is the foundation of the food system, and healthy soil only comes from a living and thriving humus layer. Living soil is vital for supplying the food that we eat, or the food that our food eats, with vitamins, nutrients, and minerals. Without these things, plants cannot be healthy enough to provide us with the nutrition we require to fuel a healthy body and vibrant state of being. So if the soil is devoid of the biodiversity required to create the conditions appropriate for plant life, your plants, if they even grow at all, will not bear as nutritious a fruit as plants grown in soil abundant in a wide diversity of life. This is the reason we are in the predicament we are today, with our food having the lowest nutritional density it ever has in history. Over the course of the last 100 years or so, our farming practices have had a dramatic impact on the dirt, and therefore our food, nutrition, and our health are all being adversely affected as a result. The American Midwest was once known as the breadbasket of the world. Using modern machineries, farmers across the prairies removed native grasses to plant often just 1 or 2 crops over an expanse of millions of acres. This seemingly efficient system of farming, called monoculture, worked really well in the short term, bringing record yields and profits because of the nutrient-rich soil from thousands of years of natural plant growth that created a pristine layer of living humus. However, what the farmers didn't realize was that the living dirt was actually dying off due to the destruction of the grasses, fungal networks, and microbial systems that form the very basis of a living prairie land. Without a solid biodiversity, dirt has a hard time staying alive, retaining water, and growing plants, leaving the soil dry and barren. This practice is what resulted in the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. After only a few years of drought, heavy winds could just pick up the topsoil and blow it away. And this is all due to the practice of monoculture. Today, we have lost about 1/3 of our topsoil in the last 100 years, along with a tremendous amount of nutrients that should normally be in our soil, which leaves our food largely nutritionally empty. It's the problem of the way we do agriculture now, millions of acres of a single crop. The more we practice monoculture, the more we destroy the soil. The result is not just a lack of nutrients, all kinds of ecological emergencies arise due to this. For instance, worms are the nutrient exchangers of the soil. They are responsible for providing up to 2 tons per hectare of chemicals and organic matter required for living humus. Since 1950, in Europe alone, worm populations have gone down from 2,000 kilograms per hectare to less than 100 kilograms per hectare, causing a devastating blow to the soil. The result is the overuse of chemical fertilizers that are actually causing a quickening of the damages rather than helping. And this is just the beginning of the issues at hand. Large amounts of a single crop can become a feeding frenzy for insects which adapt to thrive on this massive quantity of a certain food. In order to deal with this problem, pesticides are introduced to kill them. These pesticides make their way into the ground, destroying the vital life forms, causing less and less soil fertility and more toxic conditions to the plants, animals, and us. If you think about it, plants and insects are all biological organisms and very much function in the same basic way that we do. If we are feeding insects a poison that will kill them, that same stuff is going to kill us if we eat it too. The next thing challenging our agriculture is the spraying of herbicides, because all kinds of unwanted native plants begin to grow in the same area and choke out the intended crop. Once the herbicides are sprayed, there is no longer a balanced ecosystem that can handle the biodiversity of all of the various plant, fungal, bacterial, and insect life that makes these grasses their home. This causes an even more highly saturated chemical soup in the soil, water table, and air that interrupts the balance of all life in the area. And as if this isn't already enough of a biological disaster, in order for the plants to be able to handle the massive levels of chemical intervention, there is yet another new kind of threat to the ecology: genetically modified organisms, aka GMOs. These new genetically modified frankenplants are tinkered with at a genetic level to handle the various kinds of chemicals being sprayed on them. Our bodies, the insects, the bacteria, and the ecosystems are all negatively impacted because of this entire process. This chemical cocktail, paired with genetically modified organisms, is the biggest problem with plant food and health as we know it. For instance, the National Cancer Institute has found links between consuming pesticides to leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and many other forms of cancer. Pesticides have also been shown to disrupt the endocrine system, wreak havoc with hormone regulation in the body, and disrupt the reproductive systems. Children are especially susceptible to the damage caused by consuming foods with pesticides, with results showing that they may greatly impact the development of the central nervous system. And to think that this is all the end result of a single misunderstanding about growing society's food, the naively simple, yet tragically ecocidal practice of monoculture. It is at this time we'd like to bring up a video which you may have seen several years back. It's called My Potato Project: The Importance of Organic, in which an adorable little girl named Elise presents her science experiment on the difference between organic and inorganic foods. Now, this video you can watch on your own. It's pretty short and we super recommend it, but here's the abridged version. First, she tried growing a non-organic store-bought potato, and after 3 weeks, nothing happened. She then tried growing a store-bought organically certified potato, and over a month, it finally grew these
wimpy little vines.
And finally, she went to a local farmer's market and got an organic potato from a grower who brought it directly from the farm. After only 1 week, it looked like this. This entire project really is incredible for several reasons. The first is observing just how much life energy natural food has within it, and how much of that is drained when they are treated with chemicals. Elise also explains the dangers of these herbicides, which go deep into the cell structure of the plants, and so washing them doesn't make a difference at all. Companies may claim that herbicides aren't bad, but if they weren't toxic, would the people spraying them really need to be wearing what look like radiation suits? So what can we do with this information? Our simple answer to you is start a permaculture garden. Do a quick search and learn about what permaculture is and why it's so important right now. Even if you live in an apartment, you can start growing plants in your windowsills. Giving your plants gratitude for their lives has also been shown to speed up growth and will create healthier, more nutritious plants for you. If you can, start frequenting farmers markets so that you can support small local farmers who offer a wide variety of fresh vegetables grown with more traditional methods promoting healthier soil. If you're a farmer who may be using these traditional practices, we just want to say thank you. Even more than this, if you are using the practices of permaculture, we are deeply grateful, as it surely takes a great deal of time, devotion, and effort to convert your farm over to these more wholesome systems. Anyone introducing healthy crop rotation cycles, permacultural practices, or creating vertical greenhouses to save space are helping everyone and everything to be healthier and happier in every way. It is at this moment we'd like to extend an open invitation to all of the large industrial agricultural organizations responsible for creating the chemicals, equipment, and GMOs that are poisoning our planet and people. We understand that you're doing the best that you can with the information you have, and that all of the resources spent on pesticides, herbicides, and GMOs are a result of years of monocultural development, which, out of necessity, required you to implement these systems. With that said, we'd like to invite you to take account of everything we've discussed in this episode and make a change. If you change your system internally from the top and restructure the way food is grown across all of your farms, you set yourself up to be seen as heroes to the people of the earth by supporting and demonstrating what it means to live in harmony with the planet. Now, today's episode was mostly all based around land agriculture and plants, but we also have to take a moment to acknowledge that this same exact thing is happening in our seas and oceans, and it is having a very dire and adverse effect to all of the marine life and natural ecosystems on the planet as a result. Oil and garbage pollute the water, choking its inhabitants and causing tremendous suffering for literally everyone. For example, it was recently discovered that the tiny synthetic fibers of our clothes are released bit by bit through our washing machines and end up in the very fish that we eat. It's very important that as we reevaluate and change our farming and agricultural practices on land, we absolutely must do the exact same thing for our relationships and practices with aquatic life, cultivating a healthy and sustainable practice of aquaculture. Bringing this segment to a close, with everything we've just looked at, even when times may seem bleak, the truth is, we are in the process of discovering the miracle of who we really are and stepping into a whole new way of life on Earth. But to get there takes a deep respect for all of life and honoring all that came before us. So don't fear, have faith, and know that we are here with you every step along the way to see this world shift into a new age of light. So thank you so very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.